Hey dudes, welcome back to another episode of our Rhomas Men's Team podcast. You are about to listen to one of our prior team meetings. If you ever want to join one of our live sessions that we have every Monday and Friday, head over to rhomas.com. That's RHOMAS.com and put your email in and we will send you a live link every time we record. We generally record on Mondays and Fridays. So if you ever want to be on the actual podcast, like we bring men up all the time to talk about their goals, talk about their obstacles, etc., head over to rhomas.com. And then also, if you want to help support the channel grow and also have access to exclusive content, book reviews, extra whiteboard sessions, etc., and some coaching sessions, head over to patreon.com and support us. We would love it. But if not, no biggie. We'll see you on the live sessions. Later, dudes. Enjoy this podcast.
We're live, dude. We're back. We're in the saddle.
What's up, man?
Chill, man. What you up to?
I'm in the thick of it, man. I don't know. I think having a full life is just something that we should all strive for. Mm-hmm. And it feels good because kind of throughout COVID, I still had a full life, but it obviously wasn't as inclusive of other areas, just of like other people. So now like I'm getting back to that full schedule, like really, really full schedule, which just felt really good. And then it's just, it's a matter of, like we talked about last week, rebalancing it, make sure you're including everything that you should. But yeah, as I look out, just each month now is just packed all the way up until like January, which is pretty cool. So
you're booked up until January pretty much?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, there's still some gaps where I can put in there, but for instance, like all the marketing, just to give you guys an update, first round of marketing, I did an okay job. I could have done so much better. So like when you're building, let's say like a sales funnel, sales pipeline, like all of those types of things, you're trying to build it sequentially. And you're trying to get it very, very, very precise. So there's 52 steps that I have just to get people in seats. And then there's a bunch of steps after that. So the first round of marketing, I could have done a way better job of getting people into meetings afterwards and getting business through the door. So, and we're still working on that. But then this next batch that we just did, it could not have gone any better in terms of getting people there. So it was 100 investors, roughly speaking. And then now, I'm used to having like, let's say 4 or 5 meetings per week with investors. Over the next 2 weeks, I have 27 meetings booked. Yeah. So it's it's pretty crazy.
Are you doing them like Zoom or like face-to-face?
Combination. Most of them are face-to-face. So we'll see. But so it's just that, how do you handle that from 5 meetings to 13, 14 a week? I mean, you're at obviously 5x roughly. So
is that a result, do you think, from the seminars?
It's an exact result from the seminars.
Dude, yeah. I have the most bizarre pleasure at seeing your plans and come together. I'm always just like, yes, dude. Yes, it's working perfectly, dude. I really enjoy a well-executed plan.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And it's been a long time coming. It's literally been like kind of years of just tweaking, and it's still not anywhere close to done. So we'll see.
That pumps me up.
Yeah, man,
I will say, we were talking a little bit before, and it was funny. We were always thinking of really similar stuff for the most part, and we were talking about just like like last on Friday, which I think needs to be re-stressed pretty much every week, if not every day. Of like how this is a constant realignment. None of this is like, dude, I'm on the mountain, I'm crushing it. It's like constantly, how do you say? Like, dude, and this is something like you were saying, full week, and it reminded me of something I was thinking about earlier of like, are you like just having an ideal to strive toward constantly recalibrates you and humbles you into just getting like too grandiose or getting too low on yourself. They're both, in my opinion, just like different ways of doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Which is just kind of becoming slowly out of touch with reality. And if you can really just keep yourself under like a real, like just a heavy ideal, it's like, I could sit here and be like, oh, well, this is cool. And or I could be like, this sucks or whatever. But it's like every single day I come down and just constantly think about how much I need to refocus what I'm doing, how much I need to recalibrate, how much better I could be doing. And it's not in a negative way. I'm just getting like fired up constantly to take it to the next level.
Oh yeah.
You kind of meet the challenges with like the same tenacity and fervor that I've tried to meet stuff with, rather than just like giving in to how difficult things get and blah 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 blah. But
oh yeah,
dude, the thing that I was thinking about today, and this is what you kind of echoed before we talked briefly, is just like how important it is to keep a running log, whether that's a journal, whatever, of just writing your shit down every single day. If you have, say you're having an issue, say you're having a repeat issue or an out of the blue issue, like sitting down every day and writing about that thing. The way I thought of it today was like, it's almost like it's like equivalent to a blood sample for your thoughts. It's like, you have all these thoughts and they're kicking around, they're floating around, and they're kind of hard to grasp. But if you can sit down and jot them down as much as you can, usually it kind of leads you to a different level of thought that like typically you just don't access when you're just kind of letting them scroll through your mind. So you sit down, you focus them, you write them down, and then over the course of time, you can just go back and read what you write and read what you wrote. And like, dude, I do it all the time where I wrote something down 2 weeks ago that I scroll by when I'm doing my daily journaling, and I read it and I pump myself up. I'm like, fuck, I forgot I wrote that. I love that idea.
Hell yeah.
Back down. And it's like, and specifically when I'm at a crossroads or like what I feel like is a mental dead end sometimes, I sit down and I write it out. And dude, I swear to God, 8 out of 10 times I feel significantly better after I write it out. Significantly better. And that's me, honestly. It might be 9 or 10. I'm just like, maybe.
I was going to say, I'm surprised it's 8.
I think it's like 10 out of 10. I just don't want to, but it's at least 9.5 out of 10 times. I try to be, conservative, but because I can get too pumped on things. But I'm telling you, man, that's the one thing that it's like, it's so simple. It's so free. It's just, I don't feel like writing stuff down. It's like, okay, fair enough. But why wouldn't you? All the greats did it. All the great captains, all the great explorers always have captain's logs. Thank God they did. And it's like, dude, I don't know, man. For some reason, it brings like a gravity and depth to the day that's just not there unless you're every single, and again, I miss a day here and there, but I just like try to get to it on Mondays, calculate my week. What am I dealing with? What am I trying to do? Blah, 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 blah. And just write it all out. I don't know why. I feel so much better every time I do it.
Oh, dude, absolutely. And Gunther just had a sweet analytically minded joke. Engineering said 60% of the time journaling, it helps every time. Which, Gunther, I love that joke. I personally laugh at it every time I see it. I've given that joke to a few people who just apparently don't know how to think, and they look at me blankly. So I stopped using it. But I can appreciate that. It's from a movie too. I forget what movie it's from. But no, Matt, I completely agree. I think Jordan Peterson said writing is thinking. And I would almost, it's from Anchorman. Yeah, that's what's from Anchorman. Jordan Peterson said writing is thinking. I would almost put it there like writing is advanced thinking. It's just this way of evolving your thoughts. And I think because humans, especially, what do they call it in psychology? The crazy 8. Like you can, especially if something's emotionally charged, you'll think a thought, like, oh my God, she didn't, I asked her to prom and she said, no, I'm worthless. Oh my God, I asked her to prom and she said, no, I'm worthless. And you just keep on going to this infinite feedback loop that they call the crazy 8, I think. And then when you write it down, it forces you to go to a level of depth that allows you to break the seal on that crazy 8. So you can come up with reasons as to why or how you can get better, all those things. And I think specifically, if you're struggling with writing, I think one area to start with, is kind of a barbell approach. Either start with something completely something that doesn't have any meaning at all. Like, oh, I'm just going to write down whatever comes to my mind. I had an egg for breakfast and blah, blah, blah. Either do that means absolutely nothing. It'll just get you started, or write about an area of conflict that you have. Like, because oftentimes what I have found is if I've got conflict, if I sit down and write through all the nuances and just ask yourself logical questions, who, what, when, where, why, how can you solve it? And then all of a sudden you start to come up with these things. Specifically, if you write about conflict, why are you upset? And then how can you solve it? And what do you need from the other person to help you solve it? And then kind of like Matt's saying, 9 times out of 10, I usually write those with the intention of sending that letter to the person.
Yep.
9 times out of 10, I don't even send it because it helps me get through the stuff, and I can own so much of the percentage of the conflict that I kind of now feel like I've been, it's more of a therapeutic process where I don't have to send it out anymore. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, man, I'm continually mystified by it, how well it works and how much more reliable it is for me trying to rely on to organize my day by like let's call it the mechanism of like my mental drift of just being like, oh yeah, I'll do that. Oh yeah, oh I'll do that too. Oh yeah, I'll do that too. Dude, it just completely wipes away. If I write it down, it's like, you know, I'm like, what am I doing? Pop it up, right, that thing, boom, and it's so simple, dude. It's so simple. I specifically, I like to meditate, and then and when I come right out of meditation, bam, now I'm journaling my day, and I'm at no clearer point during my day than those few moments after meditating, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, no, I get it, man. So, and I have to just, as you mentioned that, I've got to give a big shout out to all the guys who are still running the scorecard meeting, because I've not been on there. Still been trying to hang on by a thread by trying to keep my sleep on. So I appreciate all you guys who are running that. Jake, John, Ray, all of the above. If you've been showing up, yeah, great job.
Hey, hold on for 1 second. I'm going to run upstairs real quick. 2 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, real quick, I do want to see if we can check in with Gibbons.
Yeah, I've been kind of seeing over here in the comments what's going on. Let me quickly run through the comments. I will see what he's talking about. And I wanted to share with you guys, I try to write down, I keep a mental models list in my phone. Anytime I see or hear something or read something that is profound, I try just to have a simple running list of like, okay, these are the things I want to review in the future. That's, you know, quick one-liners and things like that. 2 things I heard of this past week. One was by Alex Hormozy, and actually, I imagine Kaizen, you probably have heard of or like Alex Hormozy. He's in the marketing space, ClickFunnels space. I think you would like him if you haven't heard of him. So let's see. He said most people have a bunch of half-built bridges. I really like that comment. He's like, most people have a bunch of half-built bridges, which is the thing that gets in the way of their success. So what you have to do is focus on building one bridge completely so the dollar can walk across it, because he's talking about marketing. So I like that. And then another thing I listened to this week, I forget who the guy was, but he said he brought up that quote. I think it was from I don't know who it was from, but he basically said, what you don't hate, you will eventually tolerate, which I thought was pretty interesting. And this guy explained it as that, you know, too many people don't magnify the degree of the pain to which it will be not affecting you. So in other words, they don't make the pain feel bad enough to enforce change. So at the end of the day, they end up just kind of disliking it, even though they should be hating it. And then therefore they never change it, if that makes sense. And I really like that idea. Like, you know, what things in our life are we just saying, oh, it's fine, but it's really not. So you don't hate it enough to actually change it. So then 10 years down the road, because you've just tolerated your entire life, or for the last 10 years, it's deteriorating your life, kind of like death by 1,000 cuts, which I think is pretty interesting. So what you don't hate, you will eventually tolerate. Cool.
Yeah. So bring me back. I'm sorry, I had to run something upstairs. So, yeah, I was trying to figure out. I mean, does Mike want to come on? Mike, if you want to come on, let me know. We can run it down. I don't know if you're.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Let's go. I didn't see the comments.
Yeah, because that's one of those things. It's like it's one of those like archetypal life events that everyone kind of deals with at one point. So it'd be nice to kind of run through it. Getting fired.
Oh, I didn't see that you got fired. Oh shit.
Yeah. That's the situation at hand. So I want to see if we can kind of run through it and see what's going on, and, you know, kind of go from there.
Let's do it, bro.
Yeah, because again, that's one of those things where it's like, there he is. What up, bro?
Hey, what's up, man?
Dude, so how did it go down?
Yeah, just showed up to work this morning, and he's like, hey, we got to talk, and just not working out. It was very vague and just not didn't really leave me with anything to move forward with. He couldn't stop raving about how impressed he's been with my work, quality of my work ethic, you know what I mean, interactions with customers. I think it's more on his end than mine, even just spending a little bit of time thinking about it this morning.
Yeah,
because the biggest issue was fucking always money, because right. I was making $15 an hour, and I was tactful about it and aware of going into those conversations, but just kind of being like, hey, let's identify, I've been here for a year now, let's sit down, look at where I started, look at where I am, and let's set some quantifiable goals for the next set of salary increases. You know what I mean? Just so that way we're all on the same page. We have targets to aim for. And that was supposed to be this afternoon, and then he fucking fired me this morning.
Really?
Yeah. So that was interesting. You know, I mean, the other dynamic, it's a small company, and the other two people that work for him have known him for over 20 years. So I really think it's one of those situations where they kind of just kowtow to him nonstop. And I mean, I believe somebody when they tell me they want things to improve. So if I'm there to improve things, and here we go. You know what I mean? It's like, so I just don't think he liked the pushback or what. I don't know. It's unfortunate, but it just fucking is what it is at this point, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it almost strikes me as if, you know, and I feel like sometimes I could be off of this. It's just my sense I'm getting of, like, a lot of times the owner of businesses don't like when people approach them. Sometimes they do, but I feel like sometimes some don't, when they almost are approached with, like, someone who has almost a business owner mindset themselves.
Right.
And it's like he might have just wanted, like, you know, like my dad would tell me all the time when I would work for him. He's like, I need you from the neck down. I don't need any ideas.
Right.
I just need you to move those buckets from there to there. And I'm like, fuck.
Right, which, by the way, I'll do that too. I've taken those jobs. Dude, fucking 2 years ago, I was cleaning fucking motel toilets in a beach town in Maine. You know, I'll do housekeeping, whatever. Hire me for the gig and I'll do it. But that's a hang up, Matt. It's like he would be on board with all these ideas that I would propose, all these things. And I made them a lot of money through that. You know what I mean? Through tightening up our processes. Nothing major, but just shoring everything up. Yeah, and that was like a good thing. So, but yeah, no, I definitely got that sense where it's like, I get it. Everybody wants to be the smartest fucking guy in the room, and which is fine. But I'm not good at playing that game. I need to get better at that.
Sure, but I mean, like, dude, the level of skill. How would you, and like, you know, I'm trying to think this through honestly, so I can get an accurate sense, like. The level of skill of, like, you know, I've seen the stuff you've made, and, you know, I've seen it on Instagram. You show me stuff. It looks awesome. It personally boggles me that people can, like, do that with, like, physical materials. Like, what, in terms of the market for that kind of stuff, like, how would that go if you try to do something like that for yourself, or if you took that skill set somewhere else where you could get, like, better pay, something that's a little more structured? Like, where do you stand on those two things?
Yeah, so I don't know what my next move's going to be. I mean, as far as feasibility for going out on my own, it's there to a degree, but I'd have to kind of really think through how I would roll that out. And because there's a lot of things that you just can't, you know, pull out of the ether, like a 30-year track record of signs that hold up in weather. You know what I mean? Like a reputation for service and being countable and all that stuff that the other shop had. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of just playing with different ideas as to where I'm going to go with it. I saved up a good charge of money, you know, and then I don't know. I've never been fucking fired before where the guy's telling me how good of a job I did on the way out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's very odd. Like, it would almost be more understanding if I, you know, knock on wood, like, damaged somebody's vehicle or fucked up something big time. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, it just... You know, I mean, Christ, the guy gave me all my fucking vacation hours in my last check. You know what I mean? I had like 80 hours of vacation pay that I'd never used because I'm a fucking psycho. So,
paid you out.
Yeah, it was kind of fucking shocking. It's like, okay, I guess, what are we breaking up now? You know what I mean? Like, the fuck is this?
Yeah. Sorry.
It's hard to digest, you know what I mean? Because it's like, it's to and fro. But I don't know. At this point, I've saved up, I don't know, like $5,000-$6,000, and I mean, my cost of living is next to nothing, so I might just take the next month off up here because I'm almost 40, and I don't think I'll get another month off in August in my life, probably, until I retire. So, but yeah, I'm just kind of looking at where I'm going to land after this. I don't know if I want to go pick up like a no-thinking driving job or just something, warehouse gig, just kind of check out, get a check and pursue my passions, or if I want to kind of, you know, finally bear down and jump into something full force. I just don't know where I'm gonna fit in that space. You know, it's yeah, not exactly how I thought my Monday would go.
Yeah, usually people get fired on Fridays.
Yeah, better than going to the weekend, right? Yeah. I mean, granted, I did a horrible massive dose of mushrooms on Friday night and saw all my demons and cried and fucking spent all day Saturday in the fetal position, you know, just recovering from mushrooms and eating edibles. So I was very grateful that I went and did that trip on Friday, because today I was prepared for it, if that makes sense. Like, because I got some, I don't know, yeah, feeling like a real big fuck up lately, so trying to avoid that.
Yeah, how was the reception of that news? Did it kind of like devastate you, or you're just kind of like, all right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I've been through a lot of tragedy in my life. You know what I mean? I've had a lot of people close to me die and shit like that. So at some point, you know that it is what it is, right? I mean,
yeah.
I should probably feel worse about it, to be honest. But it's just kind of like, I don't know. It's
well, in terms of the thing I've always thought I've heard when you talk about, like, you know, the area you're in and lack of opportunity. Have you ever thought about, like, moving somewhere where your skills would be more highly valued and there'd be more of a market for that kind of thing?
Yeah. I mean, I've lived other places. You know what I mean? This is where I ended up landing. But it all comes out in the wash. You know what I mean? I personally, I like the setting that I'm in enough that it supersedes the financial advantage, which is. Plus, I mean, I own this house, so there's no rent, no more, you know what I mean? It's just property taxes. Right. I don't have, I get a well, you know what I mean? So I have no bills here either, so. But it's, I don't know. I don't know if I should be, I don't know, I'm gonna fucking find something to pour myself into and drive. I mean, that's all I can do, you know?
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, it's almost, I hate to fucking sound like a whine ass, but it's like, it's almost more challenging when you don't, I don't have people counting on me. You know what I mean? I'm not up against a wall where I have to, where I can just, go, okay. Now it's like, I got to fucking make an actual educated decision that I'm going to have to live with. You know what I mean? That's only based on me, not based on any limitations. So that's good and bad. You know what I mean? But it's more good than bad. Just more responsibility on me,
That's a valid thing to say. I understand that. When you have people relying on you, it kind of uncomplicates things. But I would say as a maybe something to consider that might not be the funnest thing to consider is, like, dude, if you're almost at a crossroads, like, do you want the security of being someone's employee, or do you want the rewards of kind of taking the risk and kind of putting some skin in the game? So I think that's all. It's for you to think about and decide what you want to do. What do you think, Wes?
Yeah. Mike, this is where Matt and I think really help balance each other out, because Matt has a very profound and educated and therapy type of way of going through this stuff, and I'll always and that's phenomenal. I'm not trained in that area, so I'll always just talk to you like a brother, like as if we were behind closed doors, and saying, number one, let's get over the justifications real quick. Seems like the guy, maybe one scenario is, right, the business couldn't support that role, right? And right. You just happen to be in that role. And that's great. Let's say there's a certain probability of that. There's another probability that he's just fucking lying to you, right? That he's just saying, I'm just going to come off as politically correct, so this guy comes off with a good feeling saying, hey man, it's not you, it's me, almost like the breaking up sort of thing. Right. But he doesn't want to get into the conversation of, you did this, right? Because then that's just going to extend the pain. I'll probably have to talk to you more, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. Or you could walk away angry and, take some sort of recourse that's not going to be favorable for him. So those are the couple options. I would say, regardless of whatever the real origin is, doesn't matter. As long, like, you need to choose. If I were in your shoes, I would choose what I need to own, so that way I can actually build from it, and also not stay there. It's like, take what you need to own, almost like we were talking about the A-Link, a couple weeks ago. Like, the stuff that he was going through was devastating. But if I were in his shoes, it's like, you can't stay in the devastated role. You need to say, okay, here's what I could have done better during my time there, and that's what I will grow from. And it's not to place blame. It's to place ownership so you can actually pivot and move forward. And then for those types of things, man, I go to a very dark place, as probably a lot of you guys know. It's like, fuck this is never going to happen to me ever again. And I would go through some sort of transformational process. And I would usually go through some sort of like visual transformation process. So like I would just go to the gym, I'd tighten up my diet, so I'd do whatever I could on the things that I could control. So that gives me a sense of foundation, and then I can grow from there. The last thing I would ever fucking do is stay in my room and like just sulk. That's the last thing. I would always just tell myself, I'll sulk about it later. I'll be mad about it right now, and I'll take that anger through this next range of activities, and I'm going to show this motherfucker what I'm actually capable of. So there's a lot of revenge that goes on in my head still to this day. That's where Matt would say, you might want to lighten up on the revenge part. And he's right, by the way, but that's just what the fuel is for me. That's why I have my enemies card and all that kind of stuff. But I think that's helpful. Like I prefer that rather than the, I'm the victim sort of a thing, So a couple things that I would say right now. Number one, I know this is going to sound weird, and this is not offensive at all. I'm saying if you were my brother or if I was you, I would say, how can I tighten up everything? Maybe I trim up my beard a little bit, something like to
Whoa.
like. I know, right?
Whoa.
So, yeah, right. Like
This is casual beard for me.
I get it. I'm just saying so that whenever I look in the mirror, I'd be telling myself back, I'm a different fucking person, right? I would do whatever I can easily right off the bat to change. And I don't mean to say the word change, like evolve, right? Instantly evolve, different things like that. I coached a kid. He wanted to get to Wall Street. He was a surfer out here in California. He had hair down to here. One of the best, and now he, by the way, he works on Wall Street, has his dream job, all that stuff. Took years to get there. I'm convinced that the origin activity was I sent him to my barber, and he cut off all of his hair, right? Slicked it over. Like he started giving himself the message that he's a Wall Streeter, not a surfer. Again, I'm not telling you necessarily have to trim your beard. I'm saying something that will tell your brain every single day, I'm a different fucking person now because of this. So with that being said, now you get to the crossroad of like, do I just go take an Uber job, or do I actually go down a path of actually creating myself? I think the answer that I would say. It might have to be a hybrid for a little while, right? Depending on how much your financial needs are, et cetera. It might be like, I'm an Uber driver for 5 hours a day, and then I'm this on the side. One thing that I've seen from you is it seems like you have a real skill set at the visual arts, and that can manifest itself in different ways. Am I correct about that, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay. That can manifest itself in different ways. It seems like you also like to be, right, like you like autonomy, right? Like you like living where you live. You don't necessarily want to go back, like go into a city and, kind of be a slave to the city, blah, blah, blah. So then I would start looking at if you want both of those things, the Venn diagram has to be thought through. So if you want to work with your hands and do that kind of stuff, let's say being hired by the companies around you, I'm going to guess just by looking at your background, there's probably not a ton of opportunity in that local geographical area. That's what I'm guessing. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So, okay. So then it's like, okay, well, if at a macro level, my supply of options is very small, well, then how can you think outside of that perimeter? I think thinking outside of that perimeter is like Matt's saying, either you start making your own shit and selling it, which the internet, if this would have happened to you 15 years ago, 20 years ago, good luck, right? But now it's like we can't have a fucking pity party because the internet gives you the biggest storefront ever. Now, I do think one of the downsides, and like you said, Alex Hormozy, right? You listen to Alex Hormozy?
Hell yeah.
I'd recommend listening to him, every morning while you work on your craft, because I like that guy's message, because the cornerstone is hard work. It's not some sort of sleazy. It's like, no, wake up at fucking 4 a.m. or whatever time, have whatever amount of time, 4, 5, 6 hours of pure creation, and then you can complain, but you cannot complain after you've done that for 100 days straight, something like that. So I would try some of it. And now let's say, what is that like making, like if you had to do that, what would it be? Would it be making signs? Would it be making something physical? What is that for you?
I mean, it depends on the project. Could be making anything. You know what I mean? Whether it's drawing up the plans, whether it's physically cutting the wood, the steel, you know what I mean?
Got it. Now, my then question would be, does it have to be physical? because I think if it has to be physical, like I see you in more of a macro role. Like I'm a visual creator. That could be physically creating. That could be digitally creating. That could be creating infographics. That could be creating videos or editing. But like all of the above, you are above any one leg of that stool. Does that make sense? That's my feeling on what I know of you. And I think if you do that, you have enough variety to keep you motivated. Plus, when you have variety, you could have more consistent cash flow. And there are things like, I'm sure you've heard of like Fiverr or Upwork or all of those things. If you can start to get skilled in the digital domains, I think you could kill it. So maybe it's like one physical project and I've got 5 digital projects going on at the same time. So it increases my probability of having stable cash flow. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And you obviously have a computer. How's your internet? Seems like it's good.
I'm not living that much in the woods, man.
No, yeah. Well, my internet, up, baby. Yeah, I know in my in some areas where I live, like the internet sucks. Okay.
And that's one thing I did last year too. Is I kind of tooled up last year with buying like the most absurd iPad with all the bells and whistles and that I haven't even used to its beginning stages because I wanted to move myself off of the physical stuff and get into the digital creation. You know what I mean? Even with my role at the company. So that's a move that I think I need to lean into because...
Oh, fuck yes.
I mean, I was an early adopter for technology when I was in my early 20s. I was on the front end of all that stuff. And over the years, I've kind of it's gotten away from me. So just getting back into the throes with that and really fucking around with the digital creation stuff, because then I can export it to whoever I need to make panels for me and do this. I can play around with a lot of things and gives me a lot more autonomy, as you were saying. And
without a doubt.
And I appreciate that visual to zoom out and kind of not be tied to one vertical of just signs or just graphics or just wrapping vehicles or just custom work, and being able to be above all that.
Yep, exactly. So, I mean, I think you're in an incredible position. You just were given the freedom of time. The guy paid you out for vacation, so take your fucking vacation, make your own little university, and like up your skills in those areas. You got 80 hours of free time now. I
mean, that's kind of what I was thinking, Wes. I was thinking, you know what I mean? As much as I want to just get my fucking car and just go get another fucking job making, instead of making 15, I'll go make 17 and just be like, okay, I'm good, right? I'm a good boy. I'm doing the right thing. Is this the right thing to do? That's how I fucking just want to feel okay. It's like, fuck it. They were going to pay me for fucking 2 weeks. I should at least give that to myself as a launching pad to move forward,
100%.
Yeah, I totally agree. I agree with what Wes was saying. The main thing, because again, there's always like deeper levels to everything, and I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there's like a lack, perhaps somewhat of a lack of purpose in like different domains outside of work. Like it seems to me, and again, if I'm wrong, obviously correct me. It's like you want something that's super stable so that maybe one day you can entertain like having a family, all that stuff. Is that on the table, or is that something you're like, no?
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's it, but that's a constant. I'm caught between those two worlds because I'm
sure.
Yeah, cake 82 shit,
True, but that's the main thing. As Wes was talking, anything that'll help avoid and again, I think taking that 2 weeks and just kind of reassessing all that stuff is cool. But trying to avoid just like the drift of like, well, I'll just chill for a month and then I'll just chill, and maybe something rather taking a more proactive role, whatever that is and whatever that looks like. I think is probably the best thing for like the whole total picture.
Yeah, no fucking drifting, zero drifting. No.
I've done that to myself, and again, that's what the mushrooms and stuff are really cool, but I feel like they need to be matched with like an as intense day-to-day physical discipline, because it's very easy to get kind of, for me personally, get lost in that of like, yeah, I'm cool, everything's good, and everything, ultimately I guess is, but it's like the time can start to get away from you, and like getting on to using this time to really get the daily discipline down. And like, dude, you'd be surprised. Like the hardest thing to this stuff is like, it seems so impossible at first, because there's so many things you got to do. I don't have a personal this and that, blah 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 blah. But it's like, if you can really master those days and like just take it easy. Luckily, you are in a good spot. You have money saved up. Your bills are low, so you're in a great spot. Like I would say this is a good thing that's happened, because it's like, it was very clear that guy there was nothing that was going to come out of that for you in terms of your overall life satisfaction. That was perpetual frustration.
Right. That's what was the hardest thing was, because I wouldn't have quit, because I was surviving. I was happy with. I was enjoying what I was doing.
Sure.
But I was in so much inner conflict because I knew that what I was doing. You can't tell me that it's the same pay grade as McDonald's. Like, you know what I mean? It's like there's when we were gonna have the conversation today, my mindset was going into that. Like, I was gonna tell him, hey, listen, man, just fucking keep paying me whatever you think I'm worth. I'm not gonna sit here and argue that I'm more qualified than a McDonald's employee. Just not a conversation I'm willing to even entertain anymore. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah.
So what about? And again, I'm just literally throwing stuff out. Only you know, kind of what the ultimate deal is. But it's like, and a lot of times these things happen, and then like the person will get busy, and I have a sinking suspicion they'll call you back. What about working out some sort of, if they do call you back, more of like a subcontractor role, where it's like, hey, like, give me a
100%.
job. You know what I mean? Like, that's something I think that seems to be more like the MO. And then Ray asked a while ago, like, does he have any competitors?
Not really.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know. It's like, it seems to be. I think it would be very fair. It all depends, obviously. Again, I don't want to like just dump all this stuff on you when you're truly like, I don't want to do this at all. But it's like, it would be fair to be like, I'm gonna do my own thing. And again, if like are signs like the end all, like what would be your ideal thing to make and create in terms of the physical stuff? Like what's it for you?
And I mean, just art, man. Anything that's beautiful, you know what I mean. And by the way, I can find that in anything. You know what I mean. Sure. If we're building homes, let's make it fucking beautiful. Gotcha. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't. I mean, I just happened to fall into the signs, and that was a great intersection of art and construction for me. But you know, that's the thing, is I can fit in anywhere. You know, so I think, you know. I mean, when the phone's gonna ring shortly, because I know it's a small shop. I know what I was doing, and you can't just take that production out of the equation and not have gaps show up. So, but to your point, when he calls back, it's hey, no problem. It's fucking, here's the rate. You know what I mean? And if he doesn't want to pay that, like you said, like a subcontractor type thing, then that's fine too. But I won't go back for 15 an hour. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like.
Yeah, I feel like the essence of it, you kind of need a thing that's yours that also works economically.
Yeah. So I think that what I'm going to lean into is a fucking, Yeah,
and that whole mindset of like, well, you know, I'm not going to argue. Well, I would say you should argue that. And, you know, not only be like, well, whatever. It's like, nah, man, you know, I would really push on that and kind of push until you find that level you need. And yeah, like Ray was saying, cabinet making is like, that's like real intricate type stuff, any of that stuff. So I would,
fuck yeah.
You know, with your skills, your know-how, and you know, again, with construction, like one of the main challenges, do you show up every day? You're ahead of 80% of the fucking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, man, I would just get proactive, man. You know, I would get proactive and like looking, because like that's good that you were saying like you have a pretty wide. You can do whatever, you can make whatever work as long as you're engaged and creative and all that stuff. And I think that's awesome. And like, dude, within the construction sphere, someone who is able to make that shit out of that, you'll be like, dude, framing a house, you'll get paid like quadruple, and you'd be throwing those things up. Or again, like I said, you strike me more as a cabinet man, being around the construction world for a while. That and the crown molding, making stuff, doing like a finishing carpenter. There's a bazillion things you can do.
I mean, you seem more like an electrician, but that's me.
Yeah.
That actually, I used to be an electrician, believe it or not.
Well, yeah. I was an electrician for a while. I was too. I was a helper, I'm not going to lie.
I was only an apprentice, but that's all right.
But yeah, man, like I said, I think this is a good opportunity, and it's something I would really think about is like, you know, getting more proactive in terms of like, you know, you're frustrated, you're at a shop. Dude, you have low overhead, you have money saved up. That's personally on you to have stayed there for so long. When they're just being like, we're not giving out. That's something you could own and be like, what is it about me that convinced me this situation was okay at all? Being that, you know, your needs are getting urgent. You're trying to set yourself up. You're kind of fucking around working there. It's like the guy clearly doesn't value your labor. It's like, you know, time to press the gas pedal.
100%. That's kind of what I got drawn to this morning, was kind of just really sitting with it, not getting myself all fucking charged up over it, but just kind of trying to think as clearly as possible from all sides, and just really, I kind of did a disservice to myself by staying there as long as I did.
Sure.
And it's interesting that as soon as I kind of really put his feet to the fire with like, hey, we still need to talk about this, was the last text on Friday. And okay, we'll talk about it Monday afternoon. So, I mean, it should have been sooner. You know what I mean? I should have never accepted it for what it was. But, you know, I can only learn from that moving forward.
For sure.
Yeah, I think you did the right thing. I mean, I think oftentimes what happens if somebody were to give somebody like you advice saying, hey, let the other person know your standards, your terms. Usually when they talk about that, the outcome is positive in the sense that they'll increase your pay or something like that. But the other side of the coin is they say, all right, we can't do it, right? But I think that's actually a great thing. It's like now we're clear on the terms. Yes. And man, this is why I like finance. Will you pay for this? You can tell me whatever the fuck you want.
Tell me no, just let me go. You know what I mean? Like,
you tell me whatever you want. Exactly. But money makes things so concrete because the unit of measure is so precise, right? Oh, you're great, you're great, you're great, you're great. Okay, pay me $40 an hour. I don't know if you're that great, right? Like that sort of thing. But also, you don't have to take it like that. It's like, well, the business might not be able to sustainably pay that amount. But that's also good news for you too, because then you know the ceiling. If it's like, oh, well, if the business can't pay that amount, then I don't have a future here. Right. You know, so I actually commend you on having that very transparent conversation. Like, hey, here's what I think I'm worth. Like, here's what I want to do. Is it within your plans? Because I can tell you, somebody told me a long time ago, nobody's laying their head down at night and the last thing they think about is you. It's just not. And that's not a bad thing, right? It's about them. It's about their family, because we all have to take on those owners, like that leadership within our own nucleus. And now you get an opportunity to do that as well, right? Like, what's the best thing for you? Have you studied, like, are you into video editing? Are you into, like, what's your digital domain? What does that look like, your skill set right now?
Very limited.
Okay. One thing I would consider if I were in your shoes is like going and getting, have you ever taken a course on Udemy or Coursera or anything like that?
No.
Okay. I would definitely think through that. If you had to express your visual creation and its ability, what would it be? Would it be making pictures, infographics like you've done for us? Would it be creating videos? Would it be doing video editing? What would it be there? Because I think there's a ton of demand in the digital space, but you have to start picking out different niches to start getting a little bit of skill set there. So if I were in your shoes, I would definitely, like Matt's doing today, he's creating a project. What project can you create to really advance your skill set? In my opinion, in the digital domain, to see if you like it, because, dude, I think there's infinite opportunity there, and it's geographically independent.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. I mean, again, that seems to be the main thing. It's like you're in a I think a great position. You're in a flexible position. You're not like, chained to some sort of mortgage or like crazy car payment that you're like, in over your head on. So yeah, it's just like, find a thing you like to do. You're in a position where you can, like Wes has talked about before, is a hot button subject. But it's like, tell someone like, hey man, I just want to learn how to do this. Like, I'll pop up here for like, a week or two and like, let me see if I can learn, build relationships that way. So you are in kind of, you're kind of in the driver's seat for what you want to do. It's just like really reconciling that thing within you that it will allow you to kind of, be valued at $15 an hour. It's like, dude, fuck that, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fuck that shit.
100%, brother. I think it's an opportunity for you.
Yeah, fuck that. And with the art thing too, man, it's always one of those things where I've had to do this multiple times where it's like, I like doing creative endeavors. I need to do them, so I understand the impulse towards that is very strong. And when that gets frustrated, it's like very darkly saddening, because it's like, what the fuck? This is a thing I like to do. Yeah. But the thing that's helped me is like really recontextualizing like the money jobs to like they're the thing that are helping me like fund the thing that I ultimately want to do. And like creative endeavors are a long-term thing. Like this, someone gave me this recently. It's Cormac McCarthy's Literary Influences. And dude, like, whatever, I'm reading it. It's a lot of it's like literary snobbery, like, oh, well, this and that, blah, blah, blah. But the timelines are what fucked me up. It's like, dude, started writing in like, I think 1964, and it was like 1994, which is like first commercial success. 30 fucking years, dude.
It's a long fuck. That's the thing.
Time. And that's
the
all
thing that
he was doing. He was getting like fellowship.
That's what I mean. These motherfuckers that they show up every day to work.
Yes.
For decades.
Yeah.
On the hopes that's a level of self-belief that I don't know if it's delusional or if it's what it is, but it's got to be glorious to have that type of. I mean, because that's a long 30 days is a long time. 30 years is fucking. That's a long time to question yourself. That's a lot of lonely nights of sitting there like, am I doing this right? Should I like?
Yeah. Well, here's the cool thing is with all like like different exercises of like mindfulness and self-inquiry, self-discovery, you can kind of self-alleviate the validation without the external gratification. At some point, I'm sure Cormac McCarthy was like, I am a writer, no matter what, and it's like, then you get critical acclaim. And, I think he's a specific person who was kind of just like, by the time it came, he was like, what the fuck ever. I don't care. I saw an interview he did with Oprah, and it was either like, are you excited so many people reading your books? He was like, I had a couple thousand people reading them. Now it's more. He's like, it's cool, I guess. I don't really care.
Yeah.
So it's like he's like, I'm doing the thing that I like to do, and I think that's specifically in the creative domain is like something people have to reconcile. Like, when I get the external validation, will that change the way I feel, or will I question the external validation and get what Wes is talking about with like the imposter syndrome? Because like that is a switch you ultimately have to flip yourself, and it's like, yeah, external validation helps, but it doesn't necessarily always deliver. So.
Yep, 100%, man. Well, dude, I think it's a great path that you were put on, sort of like not by your own intention, but I think the universe put it in front of you. I think it's fucking great. Couple things just to throw out to you. If you were my brother, I would say go and check out Upwork or Fiverr or something to get an idea of the landscape of what is in demand. Mm-hmm. That's why I was saying I see you as more of like the CEO of a creator's type of mindset, right? Like you can create multiple different things. I think if you step out into that higher role, that macro role, it'll give you this visibility that not a lot of creators have, because they say, I just need to paint. It's like, okay, well, if people don't want your fucking paintings, then good luck for the next 30 years, right? Like we were just talking about. So step up above, okay, I'm a visual creator. What does that mean? Now you want to get an idea of what's the landscape of the marketplace. Fiverr, Upwork, and those types of things. I would Google, what's top, what do they call them? Virtual workers, marketplaces. And just go and look. You're literally able to see the demand for that particular skill and the price that it's warranting. And does that make sense? So let's just say it's I don't know, it's creating, like I said, video editing, just because Matt and I are creating videos right now. So let's say video editing, you can go and see what the going price is for a good video editor. You can also see the layers of entry. So maybe, and the cool thing is you will see how many projects that person has done. So, okay, this person has done 10 projects, this person's done 10 projects, and so on. That's, demanding $17 an hour. Oh, this person up here did 200 projects and he's got 5-star reviews. That's $60 an hour. Like, you can see the scale, so you can see your ladder right there in front of you. There's no middleman. It's you and the marketplace, right? And then you can check out other things. So, okay, here's the landscape. Now you have an orientation around different marketplaces, and then you can strategically insert yourself if you want to. I would look at those marketplaces, then I would say, okay, that I could do that. I don't have the skill right now. I just need to adopt the skill. I then would go over to Udemy or Coursera. Dude, literally the first time you sign up for those, I think Udemy, the first time you sign up, you're given like a discount that's like 90%. So a course could be $100. Literally, they'll charge you $10 to get you into it. So do you have a Venmo account by any chance?
No.
Okay. Can you get a Venmo? Do you have a?
Oh yeah.
Do you have an iPhone or an Android?
Yeah.
Which one?
iPhone.
Okay, good.
Gee, did I look that woodsy? You know what I mean? Do I have to stop posting pictures of back when I need to wear a fucking suit every day, Wes?
We don't fucking have Venmo.
We're civilized folks out here on the East Coast, for crying out loud. Now, do you have a landline, Michael? Okay. Now your house, it has heat and windows. These windows keep rain out. Yes.
So the reason I was saying it is if you send me, in your Discord, I would like to send you as a gift, not that you need it, but as a contribution towards your next step, I want to send you money that I would like you to use towards your tuition on that class. So that way there's no excuse. It'll make you feel a little bit guilty towards doing what I just said. I want you to use that money to go and buy 1 or 2 classes from it, and then report back. I don't give a shit what class you purchase, but just that money is earmarked for getting that fucking class. Does that make sense? So either Udemy or Coursera. There's probably 1 or 2 others if anybody else knows of them.
Anybody that has any recommendations for that, how to ramp up my knowledge on that stuff, because that's one thing is I'm good at learning things. I can dive into something, figure it out well. So anybody that can send that stuff and post it on Discord, that'd be rad.
I use Udemy all the time. I can tell you that Matt and I are doing video editing. That's probably takes, I don't know, Matt, about you, but that probably takes me the longest. There's probably a pretty big demand. What are your thoughts on that?
Video editing? Yeah, I think so. There's a ton of people making videos constantly now, more and more and more. And it's just good to know, especially if you're going to do your own thing, being able to make videos for yourself kind of rules just now. But I feel like right now it's like, I think getting into anything, going full scale, whatever that is, that's going to kind of take you to the next level, I think is a great idea. It's just a matter of like trying to remove all of the vagueness and just like really, really, really clamp down on exactly what it is that you want. Do you want to work for someone? Do you want to be an employee? Or do you want to work for someone? Do you want to work for yourself? That's a, yes or no answer. And then why do I want to do that? Do I want to provide for a family? Do I want to just kind of do X, Y, and Z? Like really nailing those down tight. And then once you have those things unwaveringly, the rest of it just becomes like, are you doing your to-do list or not? It's really simple.
It becomes a matter of execution at that point.
Exactly.
Yep.
But as long as there's vagueness, then there's like another day, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, that's something
I don't want to eat up too much time, but I'd love to hear you talk more about that at some point, Matt, about how you defeat the vagueness. You know what I mean? Like how you get more resolution on things. So, because I understand what you mean by getting lost in the kind of the vagueness of the situation, and it allows you to kind of slip, into areas that you don't want to.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. I mean, that's like my major battle with like, getting lost in the sauce of just like, well, this is cool. And then, but I'm still, there's like you were saying, there's that inner turmoil. Like you're able to justify and kind of mindfully deal with your stuff almost too well. Like Wes was saying, like you're not hating it. And like, if you hated it, you'd be out. And it's like, like that's a thing. And it's like, really sitting down, being able to answer the question, like, what do I want? And it's like that, you can take 2 weeks and just constantly refine that and figure that out. What is that? And, that's, without that, I feel like a lot of this stuff just kind of melts away.
Yeah. And I think just to add to that, that's where we talk about North Star. What's the North Star vision? Now, the North Star vision is a light, right? It doesn't have to be, you're not going to see very clear edges around it. It's a light that you can gravitate towards. I think the clear things on the clear edges are projects to get you there.
Right.
I swear by projects. True. Like for me, those are the big. They always have been the biggest things. It's like there is no enormous thing that I'm going to do that gets me to my North Star. It's these little micro projects. And that's what, and in those little micro projects where you choose to actually participate as opposed to just read about it. That's what we say, practitioners before philosopher, always, those things will get you there. Now, that's one of the reasons that I don't like just going and signing up for an enormous thing, because you at the same time, you simultaneously take away your time. Versus doing smaller projects where you can actually commit to having a beginning and a definite end, then you can micro pivot from there. And all of a sudden you're really on your way to that North Star goal, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, that's specifically, I think, what helped me. To answer your question, it was like, me and Wes started doing this and talking about all this stuff, and it was like, I want to do this, I want to do that, blah, blah, blah. And when you sit down and kind of turn all these things all into like start, stop, date projects, it cuts out, like we were talking about, it just eliminates so much of the bullshit that like, I would just be entertaining. It's like, well, okay, I legitimately only have this much time per day. I look at my week, this is all I can get done this week. I've made peace with that. I'll do this. And then you accomplish that and you go, all right, cool. What else can I do? And it's like, yeah, I agree with Wes, man. It's like that really helps. There's like the emotional component of having your North Star and having something that makes it all make sense day to day. So you're not like, what the fuck am I even doing? So like you need to identify that. And then like Wes is saying, I completely agree. It's like set up projects around that thing. Like, obviously, like, you're not going to start a family tomorrow, but it's like, what are the small steps you can take? Okay, figuring out exactly what I like to do and having something that kind of ties in with like the economic tier that I feel like I should be living at. so to speak. So it's like that's step one. I feel like first and foremost, like Wes was saying, take some courses, expand to the digital realm, fill that out. You like that, don't like that, whatever. See, you know that for sure. It's like let your experience be the teacher rather than like sitting and being like, no, I don't think I would like that. It's like just, you have the time now, you have the freedom, figure it out. And the thing that seems to be perpetually going on is that figuring out phase can start to take too long, where it's like, all right, fuck it, I'm picking something and getting into it. So,
yeah. Oh, and Gunther, I completely agree, dude. Just Gunther saying he's looking at these courses for engineering certification. I swear by online courses, it's crazy. And especially when you go to platforms, you can see the quality of the course, right? Like that's crazy. Like, dude, when I was going to college, the amount of math classes that I took that were taught to me by people who literally could not speak English, and I paid $150,000 for my education, was complete bullshit. Right now, you can go to Coursera and you can say, I want to learn whatever it is, web development, right? And I'm going to find the top course on it. It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. So anyway, one final thing that I would say out there, just to give you an actual concrete idea, I can tell you a need in the marketplace. One thing that's incredibly frustrating is I've had a lot of people approach me to build a website for our company. Now, subsequently, I'm not a good market for this because I can only use certain vendors because of compliance and legal reasons. But for instance, I had this guy come to me and say, hey, I want to build you a website. He gave me an outrageous price, I don't know, like 20 grand or something like that. I instantly said no, because it's not worth it from a revenue standpoint for our company. We just don't get a lot of business from our website. But I said, dude, I told him, I was like, look, here's the problem with a lot of web development, companies, is that a lot of these things can be templatized, if that's a word, right? Like just templates, but I don't want to go and spend my time up doing it. So like, I think there's tremendous room for artists to come into the space who are not exactly super techie, so can't build a huge back end right to a website. Right. But can give a whole bunch of businesses what they want. Most businesses do not need an expansive back end, if that makes sense. Yes. Right? They don't need all this like crazy infrastructure. All they need is something that looks good, right? So I told this web guy, he's like, yeah, but the problem is I get all these prospects in, and then we have to go through this process. I said, look, here's what I would do if I were in the space. I'd get really good at just going out there and finding the best templates or template providers. I would then go and spend my day making a website, which I assume once you get good at it, of working with these templates, it'll probably take you an hour, right? Or something like that. I would go and find shitty websites of maybe local business. They don't have to be local, right? Like of businesses who have not so good websites. I would pick one. I would particularly pick one in probably the professional arena, attorneys, CPAs, et cetera, who have the money, who don't want to spend the time on like shopping for vendors. I would then go and recreate their website on my template or on a template. So let's say that takes me an hour or two worth of work. I would then call them up and say, hey, I actually made your website. Here it is. Let's do a Zoom meeting. I'll show it. It looks infinitely better than your current website. I will sell it to you right now for $2,000. Most people are going to charge you 10 grand, right? But it's already done for you. All we have to do is transfer it over, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what I'm talking about at that point. But if somebody called me, if I was not in the business that I'm in, if somebody called me and it was already done and I liked the way it looked, I would pay them immediately. If it was good.
Just done with it.
And then you could coach me through it and you say, okay, if you want more advanced stuff, because inevitably business owners are going to say, well, what if I tweak this? What if I tweak this? What if I tweak this? I would kind of play the alpha. This is where the sales would come in and say, Mr. Business Owner, I completely understand. Here's what most of my other business owner clients come into contact with is they start making all these tweaks and then the project's kick down the road 6 months. Let's just kick this off right now. You get your website. We can tweak from there. I charge $80 an hour. I charge $100 an hour to do that. So we can do this, but this is the prerequisite. Get this website on right now. We'll tweak from there. Because most people stay in purgatory. Dude, I swear there's a marketplace for that. And if there's not, you can test it out. Test it out with 10 businesses, see if it works. That's just something to consider, visual aspect.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think, what do you got? Final words, dude.
I got some work to do, boys. I got some work to do. I get fucking nowhere to be and all day to get there. So we're going to get to work today, actually fucking hammering shit out, and I'll be able to report back to the dogs through Discord, and on Friday, fucking we'll move the ball forward.
Yeah, my vote for you, dude, would pick a project. Pick one project that you can complete within a week. And then if you can, report it back to us. That's not to give you homework. That's what I would do if I were make fucking and if you can, shoot me a message on Discord so I can find out the way to pay you. And we can go there. So like I can get you that today. As soon as you send it to me, as soon as you send it to me, I'll send you the funds so you can buy a course.
Yeah, man. Awesome. And I would say too, I feel for you, man, because this is a struggle I have personally all the time of like, is what I'm doing the thing I actually want to do? And it, it can get kind of vague and misty sometimes for certain personality types, which I think I am of the type. And it's like the thing that really tethers me to the ground is like, just like Wes is saying, just keep doing projects. Even if it's like, well, why am I even doing this? No one's buying it. Just do them, because then you're starting to flex the muscle of like seeing things through really well. And then once you master that, dude, it's like you're in a whole nother space of like, then you can start matching up to like needs and, things markets need and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, just again, really every single day, try to journal, do all that stuff while you have time. And that will slowly over time, at first it feels kind of weird and vague, but like it will start to make sense. And like I've gotten to like very definitive, clear points of like what I want. It doesn't always feel good every day, but it's like I know at the end of the day I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and that to me is like invaluable.
Yeah. Do you have materials, let's say, to make signs? Like let's say, because Gunther just said, I think him and Shoop, do you make physical signs as well?
Yeah.
Like a wooden sign or something like that? Like something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big shit. Like 16 feet, 20 feet long, 40 feet long. Massive shit. Yeah.
Can you make smaller shit?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Matt saw my lovely pigeon the other day.
I saw that. Was beautiful.
Dude, one of the things that I would consider is you could kill a lot of birds. Speaking of pigeons, kill a lot of birds with one stone. If I were in your shoes, I would consider, okay, what's a little mini project that I could do? I would find a business and make a sign, and I would video record the entire process. And
so here's the thing. Here's what I didn't want to let on. There's a CNC machine that I've got my eyes on for like under $2,000 that can take up to like which is a lot of what Chupacabra does is the same kind of thing that I could run out of my house, which I've been looking at doing just that, Wes. And one of the biggest things I've always done, even when I was at the shop, is I love time-lapsing the whole process. You know what I mean? It adds such an interesting element to it on the back end and draws more eyeballs to it. You know what I mean? Even if they don't need a sign, everybody loves to see shit take
100%.
shape. You know what I mean?
100%, dude.
So that's one thing I'm doing now is I've closed off one bay in my garage, and I've slowly been building out a shop in there. So I think I'm going to continue that and kind of just rig it up with some cool angles for time lapse and shit, and just dive into that, because I've gotten traction on Instagram and that stuff sporadically at times, but I'll be honest, I've never really fucking tried, because if I actually tried and failed, then I would fail. But if I just kind of dick around and get a little bit of praise and then, okay, that felt good now, but I don't have to actually do it. You know what I mean? It's just fucking stupid bullshit,
Dude, yes, this is the Marcus Aurelius mindset. I always think about like getting into the thing of like those guys used to like lose battles or like 100,000 dudes died, and they'd be like, fuck, like just letting yourself. Last week. Yeah. I'm just getting into the mode where you like those guys failed so fucking hard, and just getting like I totally agree with you. I've done the same thing myself. You kind of, what's the word? A dilettante. You kind of like just fuck around a little bit. Like, oh, that's pretty good. But you don't, like, if you were to fully give yourself to the thing, you'd have to suffer the feat of like, are you good or not? But dude, all of the juice that you want is in that kind of like that possibility of bitter defeat. That's exactly what you're talking about. Like, how can I get the thing that'll fire me up? Like, if you have kids, it instantly kind of focuses you. Dude, if your fucking whole shit's like hanging on the line of like, is this going to work or not? That completely like clears the fog. It's like, we need to fucking do this now. And it's just so much fun. I love it. I've been in something of a survival mode like that, pretty much forever. And it's like, I love it, dude.
Yeah, and Gibbons, you motherfucker, because you bring this out like the last inch of the conversation, right? So like, so anyway, I saw a little spark, like when you start talking about that, I don't know about you, Matt, but it's like, you perk up a little bit, you get more energy and so on. It seems like you're a little scared of it, a $2,000 outlay. Here's what I can tell you. If I were in your shoes, I'd 100% do it. I wouldn't fucking and I would follow through, right? Like, pay the $2,000, get that fucking machine in your house. I don't know how long it takes to get there, but like, fucking do that. Set up the rigs, do all that stuff. I just paid $50,000 for marketing expense. And so I think certain things, and I'm not telling you that, I'm saying like certain things you're not going to know the answer on. You have to plant the seeds first, then the fucking crop grows, right? But if you just tiptoe in the water, and could it go wrong? Yeah, it could go fucking wrong. But the only way it could go right is if you actually invest in it, right? That is what you have, in my opinion. I would 100% do that. I would do it immediately, and I would do those time lapse things. I saw a YouTube fucking channel time lapse video of this guy cleaning off like little cars, like little toy cars. It's like millions of fucking views, right? And he restores them. Like he cleans off the fucking cars, then he paints them. And then
he also does a lot of meth, probably too.
Probably,
yeah.
Probably.
Dude, I agree, man. I think Wes is right, and it's like, just like he said, simple. Go to one business, say, hey man, I just want to make you a sign. I like making signs. I'll make you guys one for free. I'm just trying to build up my clientele, dude. I mean, Jesus Christ, man. First of all, the person's going to be like, oh, this is awesome. And then you make it, everyone's seeing it. Oh, where'd you get it? Oh, this guy just came and made it. And they're like, that's fucking crazy. I need to say, hey, to come to think of it, I need that, blah, blah, blah. Dude, the fact that there's only one show in town is like, and for what you're doing, I think you can start from there and then expand into whatever the fuck you really want. But it's like, yeah, man. Also, Chupacabra said he'll be screen sharing his CAD work on Discord if anyone wants to watch and learn CAD. That's fucking awesome. Shout out to Chupacabra. Yeah, man. So yeah, dude, I think you know what you need to do, and it's like, just start the process of finding the thing you like and like just jumping into stuff. And again, if you jump from signs, if you like doing it now, it's like, yeah, man, I would just start doing that. And I'm guessing that person the guy you worked for didn't really engage with like the viral internet component. And it's like, dude, you'd be surprised if you're doing, the things you can do if you're doing them, and then like doing the whole video and all that stuff, like Wes is saying, building those back end skills of like video editing and blah, blah, blah. I mean, dude, people love that shit.
Oh yeah, dude, I think that's a great. I can tell you, one of our clients.
Ray wants a sign. I want commission.
I don't know what this is, but one of my clients, they own they're electricians for commercial properties, and they're making a boatload of money. They have this sign. It's not huge. It's this big circle. It kind of looks like a gear, but it wasn't wood. It was like, I don't know. It was either some sort of like really light wood or maybe even foam. But then the artist spray painted it with something that made it look like iron. It was like super cool, and they loved it. Like it's right in the front of their fucking right in their lobby. And dude, I could imagine. I would tweak one thing that Matt said. Instead of offering it for free, I would offer to them saying you can donate whatever you want. Maybe that donation is $0. Right, like you could like, I already made this for you, or I'm going to make this for you. I would probably do it's like, hey, I already made this for you. Here's my offering. If you like it, great. Consider donating. If not, you don't have to. But I'm going to keep on making it, and then you still have the asset of your time lapse video, which gives you the sub assets of skill set. Yeah,
I could also make donations for like. For example, we got a local fire station down here that the sign is all fucked up. I could replace it. It's a 4x8 sheet, make a good name for myself, buy MFG Creative or MFG Signs, the fuck at the bottom, tastefully, but that... And it's something I'd want to give back to the community anyways,
Dude, Jesus Christ, that sounds fantastic. And it's like those nozzle nuts love hanging their boots out, so they'll just raise a couple quarters and pay you off anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I agree with what Wes is saying, because that seems to be the kind of the thing too. It's like, how do I do it, and where I can learn also how to like demand value. And this is an exploratory period, but just throwing it out there like, hey, if you want to donate, you can. No pressure. If you want, here's a couple bucks. And then again, like you were saying, exactly what he said. You got the video of yourself doing it. You're putting your name out there. And again, like such a good fucking idea. Just going around looking for fucked up signs and be like, dude, I'm going to build you a new sign, man. You can donate to the cause. You might find like these weird antique shops. Some of those guys are papered beyond all belief, and it's like, you might think they're not, but it's like, I think that's a sick fucking...
Oh, the people with the worst signs have the most money, dude. It's the fucking idiots that waste all their money in marketing that have no business behind it. They get a fancy sign with no fucking money in the drawer.
But dude, I agree. I think, again, there you go. Here was the thing that happened. There's a couple scenarios like, well, I guess, I'm kicking rocks and shit sucks. Or it's like, bam, I'm springing into action. It's like, obviously, we're always on the side of like the latter.
Yep.
So, hell yeah,
I would fucking do it today. Like literally, once you get off this fucking cast, I would.
Let's end right now. We're done.
Fuck yeah.
We're out of here.
All right, Darks. Thank you so much, man.
Later on.
Thank you all.